some of my friends hand out to you guys. That's like old documentation and a bunch of stuff from the last 2 years from my business ventures, random notes, random note cards, random documents, and all kinds of stuff like that. So I'm going to start my presentation off with one of my favorite entrepreneurial stories I've ever had in my life. So I'm pretty sure Nate and other people in this audience were part of the lemonade stand with me when I was a little kid. But we're going back to 4th grade summer, where you're a little kid and do nothing all day long, and we really wanted to make some money. That's what we really wanted to do. So we decided the genius idea to conduct a lemonade stand. Except unlike these great kids right here with their nice pitchers and ice and change and all that great stuff, we were a little bit more impulsive. So we just got the Crystal Light and we got the water tub and we put enough Crystal Light so it tasted good. We decided to sell a large cup for $2 and then a small cup for $1. We didn't worry about getting ice and or any change. So we posted up our table on the side of Rio Grande, and luckily we had a very warm audience on Rio Grande, and we had a pretty profitable lemonade stand. Also, another tip on that is oftentimes these nice people, our customers, would give us a $20 bill, but we didn't have any change. So our average order value went up really, really high, and our profit margins were super wide. So, all back to Odyssey. Around 2.5 years ago, I watched Miss Kirst, the head of the Odyssey Scholars Program, give a presentation on the opportunity of joining and becoming an Odyssey Scholar. And at that very moment, I realized that I had a huge opportunity in front of me. I didn't know what I wanted to do quite yet, but I latched onto the opportunity because I knew that it would propel me in my future. So, the very start of my venture and my start of my Odyssey Scholars Program started 2 years ago when I started selling all of the stuff that I didn't need on eBay. I sold iPhones and headphones and all kinds of stuff that I didn't need anymore. Made about like $1,000 from all the stuff I sold, and that really started it all for me because I posted something online and then a week later I had physical stuff, money in my hand, and that really helped. I started to get very into value investing right after I started selling stuff on eBay. So if you don't know what value investing is, it's the same methodology which Warren Buffett and many other amazing investors use. And I read about all value investing in this book called The Dondo Investor, which is still my favorite business book to this day. It tells the story of the Patel family that were a family in India, and they came to the United States with their entrepreneurial talents, and now they own about 60% of all of the motels in the United States. And they're a very small group of people. So that was the very first real business book that I read. Then the rest of my online business knowledge came from YouTube. So YouTube has really always been what I call one of my vices. I would spend 1 to 4 hours a day kind of just wasting my time on YouTube, but at least I got something good from it, which was the opportunity to start a business being under the age of 18. So on YouTube, the people that I watched were people that were similar to me in age. So this guy named Hayden Bowles, I'm going to tell you guys a story about him. So I found what's called drop shipping, which is the model I used to start my first business, on his YouTube channel. He had 1,000 subscribers and would get about 100 views on every video. And I could tell that he was a really, really smart kid. So I sent him a message and offered him $200 for 2 hours of his time. And I sat down with him, and he gave me so much knowledge I could not even, it was amazing. And now he has over 100,000 subscribers and has made much more than $1 million from all of his online courses and stuff. But I got him when he was just starting, so I got super lucky there. And the rest of these guys are more established internet marketer personalities on YouTube that I learned a lot from. So now we're going to the very start. I just found internet marketing and doing online business, so I jumped at it as soon as I possibly could. I opened my first online drop shipping store that was called Motorcycle Megastore, And I have no clue why I started it, because I hate motorcycles. My dad's a firefighter, and he sees people hurt themselves on motorcycles every day, so it was just a random idea. And I was selling a motorcycle nightlight for God knows why, once again. And I ran about $60 of Facebook traffic to the webpage that was selling the lamp. I lost about $50, but I got one sale. And that one sale started everything, because I understood that what I did had somebody sitting at their house or on their phone buy directly from me online. And after that happened, I knew that the sky was the limit from there. Then after that, I started another brand called Blanchfield, where I sold anything and everything I thought was cool to anybody, and I never even had one sale, so I was just trying to sell random stuff to random people. And then we fast forward 3 or 4 days. I was walking with my friend Chandler, and she was like, let's go to the LGBT Pride Festival. And I was like, oh, okay, let's go. And we were walking together. There's thousands of people walking through the streets, parading, and there was this huge line all the way around the block of people trying to buy LGBT merchandise. And at that very moment, I was like, oh, okay, this is a good market for me to tap into. So I started my first semi-successful online business called SupremePrideStore.com, where I sold merchandise to people in the LGBT community. And also, one huge thing I realized while running my first business was that if you put a purpose and a message towards your business, and it's bigger than just selling things, everything becomes so much easier. I was not selling t-shirts and flags. I was selling a movement and a message. And that made everything so easy that someone as amateur as me could even have a little bit of success. So will take a second, but this is a recap of all of the different business ventures and ideas that I've had over the last 2 years. Many of them never came to fruition. Many of them did and never succeeded, but we'll start at the very top. So Motorcycle Megastore, I told you guys about that. That's where I had my first sale online. Extremely ultimate failure, but me selling raffle tickets online for very expensive clothing. So we modeled that, except instead of doing it via social media, we did it via an online website. And we ran an advertising campaign to it, sold out of all of our raffle tickets, and we actually sold a product to somebody that we knew. Then he still doesn't know it to this day, but that's just a funny little story. Paul Moya for Congress. At one point I was going to do a e-commerce store for a guy that was running for Congress, but it never ended up happening. Then I'm going to fast forward to government contracting. So my parents also don't know about this. This is new news to them. But I got really into researching government contracting and sole source and open source contracts and all that entire world. And my idea was to offer my services knowing government contracting and to give private businesses that have never tapped into the government world the ability to land government contracts. That was way harder than I thought it was going to be, so that never worked out. Like, there was so many dang papers you have to read, and I was out of there as soon as I saw all the documentation. And I started a few other things too, but we'll just skip over those. So now I'm going to go over all of the things that I think that I'm semi-good at now. After the 2 years, this is what I call my wheelhouse, so the things that I am capable of doing. So this will take a second, so I'm sorry. Starting with making online websites that convert people into paying customers. It's pretty easy in the 21st century to make a website. Like, anybody can just go on Wix and make a website in 30 minutes, but it's very hard to make a website that converts people and has good sales copy and all that good stuff. And over the last 2 years, I've really learned how to do that pretty well. Then also, the very first offer I ever ran for my LGBT business was a free plus shipping offer. So the word free itself, it was what sold everything. And I learned that if you sell a very good, what I call a hook, it makes all of the rest of the process much, much easier. Then also, like I said before, focusing on social movements instead of products and services, that helps a lot also. Then follow-up. For any type of business, follow-up is incredibly important for your customers, for your leads, for anything in particular. And the majority of follow-up done online is through emails and remarketing campaigns. And just with emails, there's so many things going on, it's hard to even see where you're going, and I've really mastered that over the last 2 years. Now, the second pillar that I call like the social media part is probably the biggest part of everything that I've learned over the last 2 years. So for Supreme Pride Store, the LGBT business, I started with only what they call Instagram influencers. So these are people that have followings of over 50,000 to up to 1 million people, and you can pay them directly, and they'll post your content. So not only have I learned how to use them, but I've learned how to contact them, how to make deals with them. After running one successful post, I would do something different than what most people would do. Most people would just pay for another post. I would say, hey, I'll give you $600 and I'm going to buy 10 posts. And I would be able to drop down my marketing costs right away and get them really excited with a big dollar amount. Then even bigger than influencer marketing is paid traffic. And when I say paid traffic, I'm talking about sponsored posts in Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Google, YouTube, and all those good things. And they all have very similar ways of using them. So that's the big umbrella, is the social media marketing. Then there's there's hundreds of things that go into that. And here's a few of them. So audience research, small scale testing, which is huge because you can start an advertising campaign with as little as $5 a day. And you can scale that up to as much as you want. So that goes back to Warren Buffett's principle of risking nothing to make everything. That's where all of the things that I do always revolve around that. And with social media marketing, it's amazing because you can really start with nothing and make it into something. Then utilizing customer data, which is huge. It's like the modern day of any type of television marketing. It's all data-based now. So with all my customers, I had about 16,000 email addresses and names that went behind Supreme Pride Store. I was able to push them into what's called a lookalike audience on Facebook marketing, and the AI from Facebook would pick out all those names and then find they'd make an audience of 1.1 million people that are as similar to those people as possible. So whenever I was running ads with lookalike audiences, it was much more profitable because they basically just expanded my warm market through AI. Then one-click upsells, I haven't done much of it yet. I've done some, but they're huge. Just like I said, with very basic offers, you can get them in for a small dollar amount and then upsell them immediately with just one click, and now they're upgraded. So I've only done a little bit of this, but it's going to come a lot more into my future of internet business. Then the last pillar that I'll only step on briefly, because I've been talking way too long on this slide, is freelance websites. So Upwork.com and Fiverr.com are two of the most popular. And I utilize the foreign workforce like crazy. I mean, it's amazing. If I don't know something, I can make a job post, have hundreds of people apply, hire only the best one, and usually the price is about 1/10 of what it would be in the United States. Usually they'll work about 3 times harder, and usually the work they do is about 5 times better. So it's like the best combination in the whole world. And it really lets like little guys like myself have some pull in the marketplace. So one huge thing that I've learned while doing all my online business stuff is back to like Einstein's core principles is simplicity. Simplicity is the way to win in all things. And don't reinvent the wheel. If it works for other businesses, it'll work for me. So almost everything I did was completely modeled after people that are already succeeding. It wasn't copied, but I'd see the platform and I'd say, oh, that works, how about I try it? And that model is the easiest way to go about doing anything in business. And these are just some of the brands that I've modeled after a lot of my things. And here's like the fun part. So I've been telling you all the stuff I'm so good at, and now I get to talk about all the stuff I'm bad at, which is even more fun than what I'm good at. So that lady right there and that man right there know that I am really bad at taking out the trash. They also know that I'm really bad at remembering doing chores, and everyone that knows me knows that I'm really bad at remembering anything. So Also, I'm bad at staying focused on one thing. I'm bad at operational things. I'm bad at long-term management. I'm not very good at being consistent. I'm not very good at being tolerant to other people sometimes. Sometimes I'm not sensitive enough, and sometimes I'm a little bit argumentative. So the reason I'm telling you all my shortcomings is because I feel that as anybody in life, it's really important to understand what you're bad at. Because if you understand what you're bad at, you can have people help you get better, and or have people on your team that do the things you're bad at for you. So this is a perfect segue into my journey from being what I call a solopreneur to an entrepreneur. So for the entire time that I ran Supreme Pride Store, I did it all on my own. I did the marketing campaigns and the site build and the data stuff and all of the email follow-up and all of the sales and all the support. I did it all on my own, and like I just said, all these great things that I'm not so good at appeared front and center for my business, right? So sometimes I wouldn't have a sale for 2 months because I was just sitting there being lazy and not being consistent. So now that I understand the power of being an actual entrepreneur, I put a lot of focus into making teams, to having other people that can help me and lift me up, partners and other things such as that. And that alone has made me probably 5 to 10 times better as a business person, because now it's not just me. I'm more motivated. I have people around me that help me, people that are way smarter than me that work with me, and it's just like the best thing that's ever happened to me going from a solopreneur to a full-blown out entrepreneur. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the future and what I've been doing. So the two main things that I'm going to put all my focus in are helping existing brands that are well established with their digital marketing presences, and then also my ventures. The great thing about assisting existing brands is that it doesn't take very much of my time, and my time is exponentially more valuable than it would be if I'm doing a lot of other stuff. So one company that I'm working with is a premium CBD company called Craft 1861. And if you don't know what CBD is, it's the non-psychoactive component in cannabis. And it has a laundry list of benefits, but I'll save that for another day. And so here's kind of what I've been doing to help with Craft 1861. I'm helping them a little bit get into the LGBT market that I know very, very well, along with influencer marketing, email collection, top-tier follow-up, having a really good front-end offer, which I call the hook, that helps to really explode brands' email lists and also brand presence, one-click upsells, and month-to-month recurring income. So if you look at this page, it's a wireframe that I've been working on that's just a draft. So at the very top, you see a line that I've used before. It says, "Get your premium pack today, and we will donate to any LGBT charity of your choice." So that same thing I've already done before, and I know it works really, really well. So all I got to do is copy and paste it here, and I know it's going to work in my market. And then also at the bottom, we are trying to offer a no-brainer offer. Instead of giving them a big pack, we give them a little tiny, help me out here. Sample, there we go. A little tiny sample, which gets them very excited, but they see the word free. It says free craft pack. They give us their email address, which is gold. And then after that, it's a very easy yes. It's only $5 to $10 for shipping. The very next page is an upsell page to try to get them on a month-to-month recurring income system. So that's just like something that it's a good example of me trying to assist other brands with the little stuff I know. And this is the real exciting part. It's the new business that I'm starting. It's called language21st.com. And whenever I explain this business, I always like to start at the very, very start. And it's a story about before I went to Barcelona, Spain for an immersion program. So I have always loved to learn Spanish, and my sweet mom here has forced me to learn it. I didn't always want to, but now I'm almost fluent in Spanish. And I was going to go to Spain. I was going to live with a host family, only speak Spanish, really focus on that. But I was terrified. I was absolutely terrified because I hadn't spoken Spanish for 2.5 months, and I thought it was just going to be a massive failure once I got to Spain. So I had the idea to, before I talk about the idea, I love playing video games. So I used to play video games for 3 or 4 hours a day, probably for like 70% of my life. And I was like, what happens if I can find somebody that's bilingual that I can just play video games with? So I went on a little search online. I found a nice guy named Miguel from Mexico City. I paid him $4 an hour, which doesn't seem very nice, right? But I have never seen somebody so excited because he gets paid to play video games, right? So he was like ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic. And we played together probably for about 12 hours in total over 2 weeks. And I can say that I've learned more Spanish in those 2 weeks than anything I've ever done before, by far. And one thing that I'll also explain is that many people think that video games, all you do is talk about the video game. But kids play video games with their friends in the same way that adults meet at a coffee shop. So it's really just conversation-based and social-based. And that's the whole idea of this platform, language21st.com, is we're trying to connect video game players that don't know a second language with bilingual tutors that they can just play video games with and learn a new language. So the business model behind Language 21st was modeled after many other businesses. And very basic, we're offering 5 free, right? The word free, I love that word, free classes to people that sign up. And the very first page they see once they are trying to opt in, it says create your 30-day free trial. They give us their first name, last name, and email address. All they see is free right now, and we got their email address. And then on the very next page, we ask them for their credit card information. We explain to them that they're joining a month-to-month recurring program, and they don't get charged until they've had their 5 free sessions. Then this is another little thing that I added on to it that I'm really excited about, and I call it my perpetual marketing campaign. So for one thing that I've found out is that your customers are usually the people that are the most interested in you and your product. So many of your customers will be loyal salesmen. So for every single customer that I have go through Language 21st, we're going to make them their own personal coupon code. So like, for example, if I bought my own program, which I will because I want to do it, is my code will be Jake Blanchfield and then the order number. So Jake Blanchfield 1234. And then I can give that to my friends. And then when they join the program, we're going to pay them directly up to $50 a month, because if we go past there, we have to sign a 1099 contractor agreement. But yeah, that's really exciting. So we can make the snowball a lot bigger really quick by including other people and giving them the chance to share Language 21st. Then we're putting a really, really huge importance on our tutors, because our tutors are our product, and if we have a bad product, we have a bad business. So we're going to try to only pick out the best of the best of the best tutors, and I've created an entire recruiting system that we can run what I call paid traffic to. So just like back to the marketing stuff, I run people to this form, they fill out the form, they fill out their job application, and then they send us homeworks. So they're gonna send us homeworks, and then my partner, his name is Dr. Taylor, he has a doctorate in Spanish, and he's just gonna look over the good ones and hire them as our employees. Then one other system that Gabe has helped me with a lot is the categorization and matching system. So we don't only want to give our students great tutors and great teachers, but we want to give them mentors and lifelong friends. So for both our customers and our tutors, we give them a long, comprehensive survey where we ask them things like, what are your top 3 passions? Where did you grow up? What sports do you like? What are your favorite video games? And with that system, in the future, when we're at scale, we're going to be able to just type into our little database and connect people with not only tutors, but mentors and lifelong friends. So that's really exciting stuff. And then also we have a quality assurance system that I've been making recently that grades both of our tutors and our students based on how well they do. This is important for moms, and then also at scale, when we have very interested customers, we'll be able to offer them the best of the best tutors to go along with them. And what I'm really excited for in the future that I'm not able to do yet, but once the wheels are on the ground, we're moving forwards, I'm going to make sure the social cause to this business is, obviously it's education, which is huge, but on top of that, we're going to be offering scholarships for children that are underprivileged. Then in the future, also, I'm speaking like a year in advance. Hopefully when I'm in Boston, I'll start the parent company to Language 21st that will be Language Conversations. So Language 21st is solely based pretty much like 95% for males, because males mostly play video games. And at some point we'll want to bring this to females also, which will be in a different median of delivering the services. And last but not least, thanks for everybody in this room. Without each and every one of you guys, I don't know where the heck I would be. Thanks to my parents for making me into the man I am today, and all my great friends for helping me out with every single step of the way, and all of my mentors, and I'm extraordinarily grateful for all you guys. Thank you. Oh, we're not doing his questions?